Mr. Mean by Roger Hargreaves. Mr. Mean lived up to his name. He lived in what could have been a nice house but wasn't. He never painted it, or mended the windows, or repaired the roof. Inside it was the same. No carpets, no curtains, no pictures, no fires. And Mr. Mean was so mean, he made his furniture out of old orange boxes, and then complained about the price of nails. Why, he was so mean. Do you know what he gave his brother for Christmas last year? A piece of coal! It wasn't as if Mr. Mean didn't have any money. Oh no. He had lots of money, and he had kept it all hidden in a box that just kept in the kitchen. Every evening, he'd sit there counting. It was the only thing Mr. Mean liked doing. But would he spend it? Oh dear me, no. Not old Meanie, only if he could help it. One day, Mr. Mean was sitting in his gloomy kitchen, having a gloomy meal. He only had one meal a day, and that day he was having a cup of water and a piece of bread, which is 60 old. Suddenly he's interrupted by a knock at the door. Drat, he said, because he didn't like people. Drat and bother. He opened the door, and there on his doorstep stood the wizard, a rather fat wizard. Hello, said the wizard. I wonder if by any chance, as if it's such a warm day, you can positively, if it's not much trouble, be so kind as to. If it's not inconvenient, perhaps, as I'm very thirsty, provide me with, do you think, a glass? If it's not too much to ask, a water, please? He was a very wordy wizard. No, replied Mr. Mean rudely, and shut the door in his face. And he went back to the kitchen to finish his meal. But there, standing in front of him, was a wizard. How did you get here? Gasped Mr. Mean. Well, replied the wizard, it was by, how should I put it? Well, I just, waved the old what's-his-name magic wand you don't know. And, well, here I am, if you know what I mean. You must be very poor, he remarked kindly, looking around. Oh, yes, I am, lied Mr. Mean. Then perhaps I can help you, said the wizard, pulling up a box to sit down on. The box didn't move, so the wizard pulled it harder, and this time it didn't move. In fact, the tip it spilled all Mr. Mean's money all over the floor. McGillicuddy, I just fart. Well, exclaimed the wizard, eyeing the money rolling all over the floor. Well. It would appear to me, he continued, that you are an old meanie. Mr. Mean didn't hear him. He was too busy scribbling all over the floor to pick up his money. And meanies, added the wizard, need to be taught a lesson, so saying. He waved his magic wand. All the money turned into potatoes. Potatoes! Oh, dear me, he wailed. Please turn my money back into money. Oh, please, he begged. Perhaps, replied the wizard, but on the other hand, taking all things into account, but at large, things are being on the face of it, perhaps not. However, continued the wordy wizard, if you make a solid practice, never let me mean, again, that I will turn your money back into money. But, he added sternly, if you are ever mean again, then it's, how can I put it, it's not for you, my lad. If not, it's for other potatoes as well. Then the wizard had but the glass of water he got for his first place, except it was a cup of water because Mr. Mean didn't have any glasses. And with another leaf on, he turned the potatoes back into the money, and then the wizard made himself disappear. Stupid wizard, muttered Mr. Mean. And the wizard picked up his money. What is that? Nah. The following day, Mr. Mean decided to walk to town. He never took the bus because it costs money. On the way, he met an old washerwoman carrying an enormous bundle of washing. "Please, kind sir," she asked, "could you possibly help me to carry the washing? It's so heavy." "No," replied Mr. Mean. "It's your washing. You carry it." But as soon as he said that, he felt tingling in his nose. Mr. Mean's nose turned into a carrot. "Oh no," he guessed. The old washerman chuckled. And then Mr. Mean remembered the wizard's words. "Yes, yes," he cried in panic. "Of course I'll help you." And then the old bundle of washing, where the old washerwoman wanted, and the carrot turned back to her nose, and off he went. The old washerwoman chuckled again, and turned back to Wizard. It had been him along. On the way to town, Mr. Mean passed a cottage garden. In the garden, there was an old man chopping wood. He saw Mr. Mean going past the cart out. "Excuse me," he called. "Can you give me, old man, a hand, young fella, me lad?" "No," replied Mr. Mean. "It's your wood. You chop it." This is the way that past this list. Guess what happens. His ears turned to tomatoes. "Oh man," he guessed. The old man chuckled, and Mr. Mean remembered the wizard's words. "Yes, yes," he cried. "Of course I'll give you a hand." And he chopped and chopped until all the wood was cut, and the tomatoes turned back to ears, and off he went. The old man chuckled again and turned back to a wizard. He was teaching Mr. Mean a lesson just as he promised. Eventually, Mr. Mean arrived in town. There's a boy crying because his ball has stuck in the wall. "Please, sir," cried the boy. "Please, sir, can you help reach my ball down for me?" "No," retorted Mr. Mean. "It's your ball. You..." And then he stopped. There's a funny tingly feeling his feet. "Yes, yes," he said hurriedly. "Of course I will." And he reached up and passed the ball to the boy, and went on his way, looking anxiously at his feet. The little boy stopped crying and turned to the wizard. "I think," he said to himself, "I think that Mr. Mean, by large, is beginning, if I'm not very much mistaken, trying to be so mean and I think, although I could be wrong, and he has, thank goodness, learned his lesson. Today he's nothing like mean as he used to be, and he doesn't keep his money in a box in the kitchen anymore. He spent all having his house mended and paint and made it spick and span, and he's turned to a quite generous sort of fellow. Goodness, he's so generous. Do you know what he gave his brother last Christmas? Two pieces of coal. No, no boy, that purple biscuit. Mr. Mean just cracks up, and I think you don't know. Just so disgusting. Why would you do that to T Money? T Money. Have I ever heard about Mr. Perfect? You've probably seen him in the next episode. Oh. I think it's some egads. I like a piece of car. Who threw that? I think it's the owner. You know what? I think I might positively attack you. You fuck.